everyone, I'm Tabitha and I've read 5 more books. Regular watchers of this channel will already know this, but I do book reviews every time I've read 5 books. You should know that I don't read just one specific age category or genre. I'm actually a reader of pretty much anything. So I will make sure to tell you what age category, what genre it is, and more importantly, what kind of readers I think will love the book that I'm reviewing. I do use a 5-star rating system to review all my books, so I'd like to take a quick second to tell you about that system. 5-star ratings are reserved for books that I absolutely love, that I think transcend genre. In other words, you might love this one even if you don't normally read the genre it's written in. 4-star books, on the other hand, are books that I absolutely love and think are great books, but they're more specific to the genre they are written for. 3-star ratings are for books that I think are good books, but they have a really niche audience. You might not love this one, even if you normally read this genre. 2-star ratings are the ratings I reserve for books that I think are problematic. I do try to explain some of the problems in the what I didn't love section so that you know if it's the kind of thing that would really bother you or not. 1-star rating, on the other hand, are reserved for books that I honestly didn't enjoy and can't recommend. They're just not for me. All right, with that out of the way, let's get to the reviews. The first book I read in 2020 is The Girl with All the Cleavage by Petrina Binney. This is an independently published novel that was printed in 2019. It is adult as an age category, contemporary is your genre, and it is a novella at only 44 pages. Your synopsis. Sylvia Shapiro is convinced she can fix her marriage by throwing a dinner party to show her husband how happy other people are in their marriages. So what didn't I like about this one? Well, the first thing I can say I didn't like is that this one is intended to be a short introduction to the Sex, Death, and Dinner series. So I wanted more from all of the major characters. The other thing I didn't like about this one is there is a cleaning lady introduced towards the end of the book that seems like she's going to be really cliche. I can't say for certain because I need more of her to be sure, but as of right now, she seems real cliche, and that always bothers me. So what did I like about this one? The conversation at the end, no spoilers here, but the conversation happening at the end between the two ladies that are at the end of the book is incredibly intriguing, brings up a lot of questions, makes me want to keep reading, and I think that's going to be the premise for the first book in the series. So I'm intrigued. The other thing I can say I like about this one is this is a really cool concept in general. So basically what she did is give us a short 44-page novella to introduce us to the series that she wrote. So I thought that was kind of a cool way to do it. It was either cheap or free, I don't remember, on ebook, so it was really reasonably priced on ebook as a way to kind of introduce me to the series before I buy the series. Really cool concept, very cool idea. Who do I think should read this one? Basically, anybody who's considering buying the Sex, Death, and Dinner series should probably start with this first as a little way of introducing themselves to it. I would also say if you're a reader who likes stories about murder and intrigue, it seems like this is the series that's going to be about that. So this is a great kickoff for that kind of series. I've added the rest of the books in the series to my TBR, so hopefully I'll be able to get those ones read and reviewed after this little taste test. Overall, my rating, I went 3 stars for this one. It's pretty tough because it's the appetizer to a mystery that I think will be more highly rated. So it kind of falls to that niche audience of people who are willing to read a short story as a way to learn if they want to read the entire series. So 3 stars for The Girl with All the Cleavage by Petrina Binney. This next book was the book from my TBR with the lowest reader average on Goodreads. The next book I read in 2020 is The Girl in the Converse Shoes by Yaritza Garcia. This one was independently published in 2012. It is a young adult romance and is a short novelette of only 10 pages. As a note, this was the lowest rated book on my TBR according to Goodreads, which is how this one got moved up my TBR for January. Your synopsis. A boy is in search of the girl who kissed him at a costume party. All he knows is that she was wearing pink Converse shoes. So what didn't I like about this one? The first thing I can say I didn't like, and I don't even normally notice this in books, is that there were grammatical mistakes. They kind of jumped out at me and they sort of bothered me. The fact that I noticed them means there probably are a lot of them, so if you are someone who really is bothered by grammatical mistakes, you may want to skip this one. The other thing I can say I didn't like about this one is that the pacing was off. I get that this was flash fiction, so the author doesn't have a lot of time to give us much, but normally for flash fiction to work, it has to be one really well-written scene, where this spanned an entire week in only 10 pages. The pacing just didn't really work. The third thing I can say I didn't like about this one is that it was overly simplified. I connected with absolutely no one in this forgettable flash fiction. I seriously hope that it was something I downloaded for free. I don't really remember, but I'm hoping that that was the case. So what did I like about this one? Well, the reason it ended up on my TBR to begin with is because the title is really cute and the cover was absolutely adorable. Who do I think should read this one? If you are looking for flash fiction, here's a flash fiction that it's probably cheap or maybe even free. My rating, you can probably already guess, I'm going to say this one wasn't for me. So overall, my rating of this one was 1 star. It's really forgettable and it doesn't do anything for me, and I think the Goodreads rating sort of makes sense now. So 1 star for The Girl in the Converse Shoes by Yaritza Garcia. The next book I read in 2020 is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. This is an adult age category mystery thriller published in 2018 by Scout Press, and it is 368 pages. Your synopsis. In the midst of a money crisis from her ordinary life, Hal receives a mysterious letter telling her she has inherited something from her deceased grandmother. She realizes very quickly the letter has been sent to the wrong person, but perhaps she can use her skills to claim the money and pretend to be the person they're looking for. What didn't I like about this one? First thing I can say I didn't like about this one, and watchers of this channel will know it bothers me more than anything else in mystery thriller, is that this one was predictable. I'd like to blame the fact that I've read a lot of Ruth Ware books. I equate it to watching too many M. Night Shyamalan movies. You get to the point where you start looking for the big plot twist, but nevertheless, I had a lot or most of the big twists to this one figured out before I got there. And you know that I hate when that happens. That was a big one for me. The second thing I can say I didn't like about this one is that it has a slow start. This book takes a while to pick up speed and become really interesting. In the beginning, it's very slow, and the mystery does not kick in until later in the story. The third thing I can say I didn't like about this one is the chapter endings. I kept catching the fact that chapters ended with, "then she knew," or other variations of that. Sure, it leads you to wonder what Hal figured out, and it leads you to keep turning pages to see what's going on. But on the other hand, that gets really redundant really fast, and I wanted more variety. So what did I like about this one? The biggest thing I can say I liked about this one is the ending. Once this mystery picks up, it picks up quick, it moves fast, and the ending gives you a lot of satisfying answers. The second thing I can say I liked about this one, and for this book, this was huge. The setting of this novel is just amazing. Most of this novel takes place in like this big, old Gothic style house with too much space and cold, quiet evenings. I could just picture it in my head. It was like a horror movie setting, and I loved every minute of that. The third thing I liked about this one is that this book is packed with strong female characters. In fact, every female character who enters this story has this like strong drive for the story. They drive the entire thing. They're the strongest characters in it. They're have a lot of inner strength to them. It was really cool. They're courageous. They're determined. I definitely love that she packed this with strong women. So who do I think should read this one? If you like your thrillers to be more psychological than bloodthirsty, I think you'll really like this one. Also, if you like a good mystery that you can unravel and you're willing to wait a little for that mystery to kick in, I think you're going to love this one. Overall, my rating for this one was 3 stars. It could have and would have been a 4-star because psychological thriller fans will really, really like this one, but its predictability forced me to take it down just a notch. So 3 stars for The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. The next book I read in 2020 is 1,000 Secret Sorrows by Matthew Kagle. This was independently published in 2019. It is adult as an age category, and your genre is science fiction, more specifically dystopian. It is 249 pages. This is actually the sequel to Loom of Sorrows, which I previously rated in December, and this was provided to me by the author in exchange for an honest review. Your synopsis. Keldon must continue down the road of unlocking Enan's memories, even if the memories only bring up more questions. So what didn't I like about this one? The big one I can say I didn't like about this one is that it's definitely a sequel. Now, this didn't bother me because I obviously read them really close together, almost reading Loom of Sorrows and 1,000 Secret Sorrows back to back. But if you were attempting to read them separately or read only this one, it would be incredibly frustrating. So my advice is get them both and read them back to back. The second thing I can say I didn't like about this one is that there is an almost ending and then there's the real ending. The real ending, in my opinion, wasn't really necessary and it didn't add anything to the story, and I preferred the ending without that. So what did I like about this one? The first thing I need to do is apologize to Matthew Kagle, because when I reviewed Loom of Sorrows, one of the things I said I didn't like was the way adultery was used as a way to throw away a character. Well, Matthew Kagle brings that character back and gives a way more satisfying ending to that situation than even I imagined. So well done to Matthew Kagle for fixing that angle from Loom of Sorrows. The second thing I can say I liked about this one is that the ending, the one that I consider the real ending, the ending of Enan's story, is very, very well written. I was satisfied with it and I was happy with it, and I just liked the way that that one went. The next thing I can say I like about this one is that the world building in this story continues to be very well done. After two very short stories, Loom of Sorrows and 1,000 Secret Sorrows, I feel like I'm an expert on this planet Joshua 20. I feel like I could tell you lots about it. I could probably even pass a test on it. And that's an incredible vote of confidence for the author, considering all I did was read two short stories, and I never felt like I had a history lesson. This world building is built into the story in a way that you learn it almost by accident. It's very well done. The last thing I can say about this book is that it's almost a book study in sentence structure. The characters have short clipped sentences if the reader is supposed to feel rushed or stressed. The sentences are longer and more descriptive if you're supposed to be taking your time with something. And he even makes use of repeating words if you're supposed to almost feel frustrated, like you're not making progress. So the sentence structure in here is incredibly well done. It would be an excellent book study for somebody trying to learn sentence structure. Who do I think should read this one? Again, I'm going to say if you're a science fiction fan who likes world building and new worlds, you're going to love this one. Again, this is a hidden gem. But my suggestion is get Loom of Sorrows and this one and read them both back to back. My rating, overall, I went 4 stars again for this one. Science fiction fans, you're absolutely going to love it. I don't think this is going to transcend genre. You're going to have to like science fiction to like this one. But 4 stars, it's a wonderful book. It's a hidden gem. Go find this one. 4 stars for 1,000 Secret Sorrows by Matthew Kagle. Next book was the book on my TBR with the highest reader average on Goodreads. The 5th book I read in 2020 is The Skin of Water by Cristina Salat. This book was independently published in 2016, age category young adult, and genre contemporary. It is 275 pages long. I read this book as part of my challenge because it was the book with the highest rating going into this month, and this book was also provided to me free of charge by the author in exchange for an honest review. Your synopsis. LaSalle is a runaway from New Mexico trying to make it on the streets in California. She's going to have to find her voice if she intends to survive. So what didn't I like about this book? The first thing I can say I didn't like is that this book has memory sequences, and sometimes it's hard to tell whether we're in the present day or a memory sequence. You get the hang of it pretty quickly, but in the beginning it's a little jarring. The second thing I didn't particularly like about this one is that there is one chapter from the point of view of counselors in a program LaSalle is in, and that chapter felt incredibly unnecessary, and I almost wish I'd skipped it. I didn't need it at all. So what did I like about this book? The first thing I can say I liked about this, and I loved this, is that this book has an entire theme running through it of empowerment. This teen has to learn big lessons about who she is and what she's capable of, and then she has to learn how to use those in her real life. And that's an incredible message for young people, and I really loved that. The second thing I liked about this book is that the descriptions of life on the streets are hard, they're honest, they're important, they're really well written. I feel like the author here did her research about what it would be like to live as a teen on the streets. She did a really good job of packing the emotions into it and being accurate at the same time. The next thing I liked about this one is that Liselle as a character is amazing. She's determined, but she's got weaknesses. I just loved her. I can't say enough about how much this character really spoke to me. She's very well written. The last thing I can say I liked about this one is I liked the ending that the author chose. When I was reading the book, I kept thinking that there were a lot of endings this could go for. There were 2 or 3 really big ones that I felt like the author could use, and I'm very satisfied with the one that she picked. I think she made the right choice. Who do I think should read this one? If you are in general into contemporary stories about young girls trying to save themselves or young girls coming into their own, I think you'll enjoy this one. I also think readers who like stories about Native American heritage in general will enjoy this because Liselle is coming from a Native American background from New Mexico, and I think that's well written in this book. Overall, my rating, I went 4 stars. If you are a contemporary fan, you are going to absolutely adore this book. So 4 stars for The Skin of Water by Cristina Salat. Okay, that's it for me and the first 5 books that I read in 2020. If you are an author or a publisher who had a part in bringing a book into this world, please make sure you follow the link down in the description to send me that book to get it reviewed right here on this channel. If you have a recommendation based on something that I loved this time around, make sure you drop the author's name and the title of the book in the comments so that I don't miss that one. Until then, drop a comment just to let me know you're here. Hit subscribe and tap that little bell so you know when I'm back. Keep plotting the path to your dreams, and I will see you next time. Bye!